Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future, shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, and we are not exempt from this remarkable ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
And hello and welcome to Real Talk with the Cummings. Transition Radio is the original. The original is where it started. Transition radio industry, and we will need to make
a new video,
little intro,
short
of Real Talk, because we did have one, but it was so little.
It was cute.
It's cute.
I didn't think it was bad.
No, it wasn't, but
it was celebrating our life together.
Yeah, that's true. We can use that one. Nice. But I've always had, the original Transition Radio intro, that was deep.
Yeah, that was
real deep, because I tend to go deep in thoughts and deep in everything.
I like a mix of the two.
Yeah.
Just kind of like
there's
fun.
Fireworks. We get that every night.
It's the 4th of July here.
Yeah, every night. Every night we get, somebody must have an endless supply of fireworks.
They do. It's like they like to shoot off one of them every night.
Yeah. They save them or something. If you hear a little jingle and things being knocked down, it's the cats.
Yeah.
The cats, the dear infamous cats. It's like
not infamous. That's great.
They're not bad. Famous, infamous, or whatever. But they're not bad. They're terrible at times.
They are right now because they're barely like
kittens. Yeah. But gosh, you have to have the patience of Job, because
they're teaching us patience for sure.
Big time.
Like when I make the bed, I'd get frustrated because they would run into the covers the other day, and then I was like, you know what? This has been their home underneath that bed since we've gotten them.
Yeah.
So if anything needs to change, it's my attitude about making the bed with them there. So we adjust. And we're grateful for the cats. I don't think our lives would be the same without them. Once that we got them.
The girl, Maya, has such a distinct personality and things that she does. Like she has this little mouse she loves. They both do, but she tends to take control of the mouse more often.
Yeah.
So she tries to feed the mouse water or have the mouse drink water. And you see them in the back there. Yeah. And now they're underneath
us.
And feeding the mouse. She puts the mouse
by the guitar.
in the food thing, and soak the mouse today to the point the mouse wouldn't shut up. It's one of those mouse, every time you move it makes noise. And then she takes food out of her plate and one by one puts them in linear. It's like a linear thing. Like she's trying to create art with her food.
I think we're going to take her to a genius type of
what else does she do earlier that I
class or school or something, so that we can
she's just very
get her tested for
what else does she do that I she did something else that was just constantly doing things.
She you said the food thing,
the mouse, and there was something else she did.
She drowned her mouse.
She was trying to make it give it water. This is going to be interesting with these cats. That's right. Yeah, definitely. But so much so that, hey, wanted to share a video. Cats are really, really funny. They're dramatically funny, and they all have unique personalities, and they all have unique things that they do. It's just not doing what I wanted to do. I wanted to go here. But instead, oh, no, here. Oh, there we go. I want to share this little cute video of this cat. It's a very short little thingy, but they're just extremely funny. I mean, everything they do is extremely funny. Nope, we gotta see it again because I was trying to open it up and I mean, it's like I think it got scared with his tail. And it just repeats itself. But you know, she does some sort of walking like that too sometimes.
She like goes like
they arch themselves. Yeah, they're like really funny cats. Really funny. And
is that one of those hairless cats?
Yeah, it's one of those hairless cats. Let me undo this. I gotta get back and practice here.
It's been a while.
But it's been a while. Yeah. But they do that. They do this funny little arching thing and side, like when they get ready to go into battle, they like get the side thing and they do all this, weird stuff. But anyway, if you guys have a cat, or you know of somebody that has a cat, and you want to share the video, or you have a video of the cat doing something funny, please send us the video, the link to the video, to transitionradioshow@gmail.com. Again, that's transitionradioshow@gmail.com, and we'd love to share your precious little kitty or cat and, get them known throughout the world. But yeah, cats.
Cats.
Yes, cats.
I didn't think I was going to have cats. And, you mentioned it, and then I was like, oh, having cats. My friend Carrie has cats, and she seems to love having cats, and other people have cats, and they love their cats. And you had 2 cats.
I've had 2 cats before. Yes, they're a lot. Kittyhood is challenging, very challenging, but it's like anything. Being a parent is challenging, People don't realize the effects that.
Is she down there?
I think she lost.
No, she's down there.
Oh, she's down there?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's behind us.
Okay, so she's just kind of like hanging out. Parents don't realize the responsibility they have in raising children. They're not equipped. They don't go to school. They don't get a license or a degree to raise a child. And unfortunately, they create lots and lots of problems for their children. I think the majority of the problems that we face as adults today stem from childhood.
As a senior in high school, my Bible class, because I went to Christian school, they had this thing where you would take care of an egg, and they paired up couples in the classroom, and it was important that we would keep it for like a month, and then we'd have to find babysitter for the baby egg. We'd have to like make sure that the little thing that it's living in, its little cradle thing, is protecting it at all times. But that does not help 100%, because you're not like being taught to raise a child. You're just trying to keep the egg from getting cracked.
Yeah.
As if the only thing that you're doing is carrying a baby.
Yeah. They realize the interactions and the words that you say in a child's mind can be so powerful. Actions, reactions. People don't realize that we have different developmental stages in life. And
our cat is stuck. One of our cats is stuck in a developmental stage that he can't seem to break free from. He's a suckler. And that stems from him being pulled away from his mom at an early age and not getting weaned off. So we think about these things and we can translate that over to us as people and the traumas that we suffer in our young age and our markers of things that continue on through our lives. Like we were watching that one, The Big Ward. It was on Netflix talking about people that are overweight and they're having the gastric bypass surgery and how they're
not treating the problem. I mean, the stomach is not your problem. Here they're trying to make a stomach that's normally the size of your fist, and they're trying to make it the size of a pencil, like really thin it out so that you don't fit a lot of food.
But the problem really isn't the physical stomach. The problem is the attitude that these people have, that they're stuck.
Exactly. The crush they have on food. Some of them think of food as their best friend. You know, they go to food as many people go to alcohol, as many people go to cigarettes.
But why does that happen? Because they've been traumatized at a young age. And
they're stuck in that oral stage, you know. It all depends on where. And, you know, psychology is pretty deep. I studied, you know, from Freud to Jung, you name it. And we do have developmental stages in life that we have to learn to navigate and overcome. If we get stuck in that, like, let's say if you get potty trained too soon, you're stuck in the anal stage.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is, you know, people, and it doesn't sound good, but, you know, there are people that get stuck in the oral stage. There are all sorts of different stages. And when you get stuck in these stages, then you have mental issues to deal with as an adult for the rest of your life, you know, and how the coping skills that you develop during that part, it depends on everyone, you know.
Yeah, there's this one woman who's like 35 years old. She's a candidate for gastric bypass surgery, but I see that she's kind of stuck in her childhood.
Mm-hmm.
She's still, like, she calls food yummy,
mm-hmm.
you know, and it calls her mom mommy.
Mommy.
And I mean, it's like
childlike voice still.
Yeah, it's like some of these people are stuck in a childhood stage that they did not get to
navigate correctly,
get through.
You know, you're stuck in that particular stage, and it's really interesting. I mean, I learned all that in occupational therapy school, from normal child psychology to abnormal child psychology to adult psychology. You know, everything is based, you know, on behaviors and things of that nature, and people don't want to take that responsibility.
No, they don't.
You know, they really don't. And
they want a quick fix, you know, like, you know, for instance, and I do go back to that gastric bypass surgery example, you know, it's like as if pulling out your stomach is actually the root of the problem. That's just what happened because you were out of control with your eating habits. Exactly. You know, it's not really your stomach isn't the problem. It's there's nothing wrong with your stomach.
Exactly.
You know, but what is wrong? What's wrong?
Your emotional imbalance, your inability to cope with life. You're using food as a crush. You know, you're like letting food dominate your life.
Well, food becomes a coping mechanism, and for some people, you know, after they lose a loved one, or they go through some kind of a traumatic experience, or they get injured and then they don't feel like they can be the person that they were, you know, because of a debilitating injury, they use food as that thing that they depend on.
You know, and I could translate this into transgender individuals that they think that by altering their genitals, they're going to solve everything in life. And it's not your genitals' fault. You know, your genitals have nothing to be blamed for here. It's actually the individual's self-hatred that translates into, I've got to change myself. We look for a coping mechanism, a way to like hide from certain things or whatever. You know, and it's all around. So anyway, you found this very interesting article called "Children from Abusive Families Analyze Every Single Detail," and it's heartbreaking. I mean, you could relate to this article because you're very analytical. You think everything through. And, you know, most people don't do that. Most people don't analyze stuff. I analyze a lot of stuff too because I grew up in a very abusive household as well. You know, and not that our parents, I mean, because I don't want people to say, well, blame your parents for everything, stop being a victim. I don't condone victimhood. I think people need to be empowered, but we also need to learn where the problem stems from so that we can get to the root of the problem.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you can't find the root of the issue, then everything you're doing to try to fix it is a waste of time. You know, I mean, and we can go back to the whole genital removal thing with the trans community. Most of the time, the genitals don't have anything that is wrong with them. I mean, and these genitals are there because they're an essential part of your anatomy that you need when you get older. For sure, you're going to need it as your body starts to break down and go into the next stage of life. You know, you're going to need that genital. You know, and what it actually does. No, I don't think so, Missy. She's like looking up there.
Like she wants to climb. And it's like we have
Hello?
certain things set up and lights set up.
Yes, I'm talking to you, Maya. 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 No, we don't do that. Thank you.
So anyway, it's a well-known fact. Our families are one of the guiding factors that shape our personalities while we're growing up. Parents raise us to the best of their abilities, but these abilities may vary. Recently, Dawson, an LA-based genderqueer writer, shared a story about how growing up with mentally unstable parents can shape your personality and can even turn you into a person who overanalyzes things.
I've been writing since I was old enough to spell. It is at the core of who I am as a person. I always joke that I write my tangled experiences and feelings into straight lines, which is why I write so much about my personal experiences. It's self-reflection and catharsis and storytelling and poetry and sharing. The sharing is important to me. Sometimes people tell me how much something I wrote impacted them or clarified something for them, and that's one of the biggest goals in my writing, for people to know that they aren't alone. Lonely as life can be, we're out there. We're surviving, and sometimes that's all you have to do. Stand up and say, I survived, you can too. That's the best I have to offer, I think, Dawson told Board Panda.
Yeah, and, you know, some people just, some people don't realize that the writing, the sharing, that's very healing. You know, very healing, very, not just to self, but to others, because people connect when you read blogs and when you share yourself out there with your experiences. And instead of taking that victim mentality, when you write and you express and you let go of these things that have been inside you, it's a tremendous form of therapy.
But I think we're kind of losing what the purpose of it. I mean, if we're just going to read that, that's not the whole thing.
No, it's right here also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So one of the more valuable things I've learned in life as a survivor of a mentally unstable parent is that it's likely that no one has thought through as much as you have. You know, it's like, it's a coping mechanism. You know, no, your friend probably has not noticed they cut you off 4 times in the conversation. Your brother didn't realize his music was that loud while you were studying. No, your BFF or SO, what's an SO?
Significant
Other doesn't remember that you're on a tight deadline right now. No, no one else is paying attention to the 4 power dynamics at play in your friends group right now.
A habit of abused kids, especially kids with unstable parents, is the tendency to notice every little detail. We magnify small nuances into major things, largely because small nuances quickly became breaking points for parents. Managing moods, reading the room, perceiving danger in the order of words, the shift of body weight, it's all a natural outgrowth of trying to manage unstable parents from a young age.
Here's the thing. Most people don't do that. I'm not saying everyone else is oblivious. I'm saying that overanalysis of minor nuances is a habit of abuse. Because it's like you learn how to read, like, oh my God, is dad going to beat me up now? You read his body language. You read every little thing because that's a form of survival. I have a rule. I don't respond to subtext. This includes guilt tripping, which a lot of parents do, silent treatments, passive-aggressive behaviors. I see it. I notice it. I even sometimes have to analyze it and take a deep breath and choose not to respond. Because whether it's really there or just me over-reading things that actually don't mean anything, the habit of lending credence to the part of me that sees danger in the wrong shift of body weight, that's toxic for me and dangerous to my relationship. I find I do that a lot. I've always thought of it as my empathic ability, but never really realized that it's part of growing up in an abusive household where I had an alcoholic father who, whenever he was drunk, he would explode, or a mother that, was very narcissistic and very verbally abusive and did certain things. And I had to learn very quickly how to please her. So, you learn how to read people so well,
I mean, one of the things that just happened right now, and when we were reading, was sometimes I fidget and I was bumping this down here.
Yeah.
And you look down and you're like, stop that, because that is annoying me, you know. And I'm like, oh, yeah, he notices all those
little things. Yeah, because every little thing is, you know, it's like.
The best thing I ever did for myself and my relationship was insist upon frank communication and a categorical denial of subtext. For some people, this is a moral stance. For survivors of mentally unstable parents, this is a requirement of recovery.
And that's why frank communication, you know, something that I like to communicate things to death, because I need that. It's something that is important to know. Okay, what are you thinking? Be frank.
Are we on the same page here?
Yeah, exactly. And it's very important. And most people are not used to being frank. You know, most people do the small talk. They really don't get into the, you know, the. Oh yeah, there she is back there showing herself. And I'm here.
Thank you. Camera. She's part of the set.
Yes, and that's why our little thing is cats, because it's like they're gonna get plenty of that. Hello, Moon Dog. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
So here are some people responding to the article. Somebody by the name of Exploding Unicorn Glitter, that's an interesting name, said, "I knew I overanalyzed things, but didn't know why. Makes sense now.
As a survivor of an unstable alcoholic mother, I really needed this. Thank you."
I mean, I had an alcoholic father, and you know, a mother who, because of her medical condition, thyroid removal, was like a firecracker. You never knew when my mom was going to explode. So I always walked on eggshells, and I was always trying to not to piss her off, not to make her angry. You know, it's just that's a lot to put on a child.
It is.
You know, and that's why I'm like, you know, it's like I'm aware of everything that happens in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's because I learned to be as cute as a cat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was part of my upbringing. So, what is it called when you have an aha moment in a bad way? Because I just had one. See, a lot of people suffer from this. This is not unusual, because majority of us, I like to say, a very large percentage of the human race grew up in an unstable, unhealthy home.
Environment. Yeah. God bless this man for saying what we hate to say. Is it a man?
That's yes. Yeah, it's a gender queer person. I think they're partly almost on the left.
Oh yeah.
They identify as gender.
Oh, okay.
This person curses, go F-U-C-K, and suddenly the way my girlfriend gets worried over small changes makes sense. That's another thing, being a worrywart. Everything, and because you learn like, oh God, okay.
Wait a minute,
is my father?
Why are we going this way?
Yeah,
why?
Yeah. Is my father going to storm through that door drunk again and start breaking everything in the house? You know, is my mother going to have a fit and start pulling things out of my closet and tell me that I did the closet wrong?
Right.
Things of that nature.
I've known this about myself for years now, but this is the only time I've been able to see it put into words, which is, you know, it's like, okay, if I overanalyze, maybe, just maybe, I experienced trauma growing up, maybe in an abusive household, an abusive alcoholic parent, a sexual molestation, anything, you know, I mean,
just even an
cult-like raising in religion, you know, I mean, it could be anything.
Overly strict parent, you know, that doesn't give you any autonomy, you know, that you feel like you're bound by their rules and their laws, and they don't like to speak. Like my father would say, children speak when hens pee. Dad, when do hens pee? According to him, the hens never pee. So I never got to talk. Sit there and
I never saw them.
So that's, you know, that was the answer, you know, and hey, they did the best they could. You know, they had no manual.
I know they didn't have a very good upbringing themselves.
Exactly.
You know, I know my dad grew up in the jungle, basically in Puerto Rico, and his dad and his mom let the boys just go pell-mell all over wherever they wanted to be. You know, so I mean, it's like if you're not raised with the responsible parent, and here again goes the whole concept of why can't they hand out a manual? Why can't they teach people in high school child psychology of how to raise children, you know, before they get to be that age, you know, but they don't.
And it's a happy medium because it's not allowing your kids to do everything they want. Like nowadays, what is it, Generation X or whatever? The parents didn't want
millennials.
Millennials, yeah. Or what was? Which one was the one that started letting their kids do whatever they want? No punishment. Yeah, no punishment, and you know, just whatever goes, goes. You know, that's not good either. There's a happy medium where you got to put your foot down, you know, or put the foot up their ass at times, or you know. And then there's a time where you got to be fair and you got to educate. And you got to listen. You got to allow them to have some autonomy, choices, you know, so that, you know, they don't grow up to be confused adults, you know, adults that are dealing with so many issues and so much anger.
Because, I mean, it takes a lifetime to unravel all of it. Yeah. The deeper the rabbit hole goes in life and you don't find a solution for it, you don't find healing, you don't do the inner, you know, healing work that you need to do, which is mostly spiritual.
Exactly.
You know, then you're subject to repeat the same mistake
over and over again, and then you're subject to experimenting with so many different things in search of happiness. We watched a video earlier, trans surgery regret, and stuck to me was a 60-year-old trans woman who said, you know, originally it was just, well, I'll start the hormone and that'll make me happy. And then I'll get the boob job and that'll make me happy. Well, I'll get the FFS and that'll make me happy. Oh, I'll get the surgery and that'll make me happy. And she said she lived as a presentation of a woman for 40 years and regrets the surgery and regrets doing it. Never made her happy.
No, because it didn't address the problem.
Exactly.
And the problem was that she didn't like herself.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's 95% of people that venture into transition. They don't like
Lynn
themselves.
Says hello.
Hello, Lynn. How are you? They don't like themselves. So they're trying to find solution and change who they are, you know? And yeah, this is a perfect example. I want to share this video, you know, because people think, you know, that beauty is everything, popularity is everything. I mean, nowadays people want to get all these likes on Facebook and likes on their video and have an Instagram account and share everything with people, and they want to be adored and loved, and they want to look perfect, and because they think, you know, if they look perfect and they've got all these friends, hey, they're going to be happy. Happiness is right there. They do all that, and little they know that that's not the real truth of happiness. So on that note, I'm going to share this video. It's a very deep video I found.
Let me tell you about this girl called Cleo. I think you might know someone like her too. She had the dream of becoming a model. She said she was going to move to LA to pursue it seriously. She took care of herself, at least her body well. Someone told me she did ads for L'Oreal. She had so many followers on Instagram who all loved her. Within a minute of her posting a picture, there would be hundreds and hundreds of comments, all telling her how beautiful she was, how good she looked, comment after comment, like after like. She was a real entertainer. She was always making everyone laugh. I remember every guy wanted her number, but she kept to herself. She just had this infectious energy. She got along with everyone. She was always the life of the party. She was never seen in the same outfit twice. Boxes and boxes of Amazon Prime. On Instagram, she was the perfect girl with the perfect life. The perfect world with the perfect guys. Nothing's perfect, right? It seemed like she was always having the best time with her friends, always traveling, new experiences, and so many great stories to share, until people started to notice. I think she lived like two lives. No one really knew her inside. She had everyone to text, but no one to talk to. Everyone to follow, but no one to walk with. When the phone was up, her world was a stage. When it was down, a reality came. She had an invite to every event, but still felt lonely. She had all the friends in the world, but still felt no one really knows her. She was going through pain, but never showed that side. It was something she hid from the world. Or maybe we just never asked. She had masked her sadness with what looked like the ideal life. She was always flying high in the air, or felt low inside. Her inbox was always full, but she felt empty within. She was happy on the outside, but struggling with depression and anxiety. She had an addiction that everyone called a lifestyle. She was struggling with mental health, but people were just occupied by her physical appearance. See, people think depression is sadness. People think depression is crying. People think depression is being quiet. Depression is when we smile, but we want to cry. It's when we talk, but we want to be quiet. It's when we pretend like we're happy, but we're not. Depression is not always obvious. She drank to drown her pain, but the pain learned how to swim. She was sick of crying, tired of trying, smiling, but inside she was dying. It's amazing how we can think we know someone and still not know them at all. I don't think we understand how stressful it is to explain what's going on in your head when you don't even understand yourself. We use filters to lighten our photos whilst we carry the heavy weight of stress. Remember, it's okay to have highlight reels, but make sure someone knows how you really feel. It's okay to use FaceTime, but make sure you spend quality time face to face. It's okay to have followers, but make sure you have true friends. Don't live for the approval of others. Document the moments you're most in love with yourself, not just the moments you think people will love the most. When someone doesn't post for a few days, we ask if they're okay. When someone posts every day, we assume they are. Tell people you love them. Be a trustworthy friend. Tell them that they matter. Tell them that they've survived a lot and they're ready to thrive now. People who care will ask how you're doing. People who love you will wait till you tell the truth. And that's why Robin Williams said, I used to think that the worst thing in life was to end up alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people who make you feel alone.
That was deep, very deep. And I saw it the other day and I shared it with you. Here you have a perfectly beautiful. How many trans women love to look like that?
Women
in general. But yet unhappy, depressed, anxious, all of the above. Beauty, gender doesn't solve our problems. That's not what, it's not. There's something deeper. You have to really connect with your inner self and your spirituality. Be okay and love yourself as you are. It's trying to find approval. Because that's what happens. We live in a society that we're constantly trying to find approval. We write something on Facebook, we're looking for those likes. Yeah. We're looking for that approval. And
looking for people to acknowledge us and to say things that are nice. Yeah. That will then give us that little hit of dopamine in our brain. Mm-hmm. Every time someone posts a picture on Instagram and gets likes and stuff, it's just that little bit of dopamine hit. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost like it becomes like a drug, and then that drug masks the pain because after you took that picture, you aren't happy with it, and you're busy looking at it, seeing how you can edit it,
and filter,
seeing what you could do, and stuff. And it's like, the really sad part of it is that one statement where he said she tried to drown her pain, but her pain learned to swim.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah, because what is it? We're constantly, okay, if I get this, I'm going to be happy. And I get this, I'm going to be happy. And I get this, my pain will go away. But pain just learns to swim around, or whatever it is that we try to do, you know. And there's a Buddha saying that when you have desires, through desire comes suffering. You know, when you don't desire anything, when you're just happy, you're just being, and you're just living, and you're just grateful, then that's when happiness really sets in. But if you're constantly searching for something, constantly searching for that perfect picture, constantly searching in the mirror for that perfect look, you're never going to find happiness.
And that goes really well with the trans community.
Exactly, because it's all about looks. It's not, you know, they don't take the time to learn who they are inside. It's all about the external. It's all about the approval, the validation. You know?
It is. And it doesn't matter the age, you know, you can be a young 20-something or an older 50-something, and it's the same issue, you know. You still seek the approval of others, and you want perfection, like Lynn just wrote. Powerful and so true. Reaching for perfect swallows people up.
Exactly. And unfortunately, we live in a world, Lynn, that is so materialistic, so cosmetic driven. You know, that people don't take the time to really get to know you as a person. They're always judging on the looks. They're always wanting, you know, what's the best product I could use to make myself look better? And it's like, that solves nothing. Tear all that away and look inside. You know, really look inside. Stop wanting to break your face and hurt yourself to try to achieve something that you think is going to bring you happiness. But every time you do something and you get there, and then you're looking for the next thing. Because it's like a new toy. You get a new toy, you're happy with it, and you play with it for a little bit, and then you're like, okay, what's next? Mm-hmm. You know?
I mean, there are, you know, trans women out there that get their FFS surgery, and they're elated, they're excited, they're just thrilled, and they just feel that, you know, this is the answer. And then one day they're walking down the street, and someone misgenders them. And then they're like, what else do I have to do? You know, and it's like, it's like it goes across the board that you don't even have to be transgender. I mean, it's like that Botox injection that you take that you do to your lips, or that, you know, that facelift that you do. I mean, everything is very temporary. It has a shelf life, and doctors know these things. Plastic surgeons know that these changes that they make on you are not going to be permanent.
No, they
build in that you're going to have to be back for some revisions, you know.
And why do people get all these things? Because they have low self-esteem, you know. So, and based on childhood, because whether the parent make them feel like they were worthless, a lot of parents unfortunately do that to us. They don't mean to do that, but they do, you know. And it's, you know, their upbringing and upbringing of their parents, you know. So if we were raised differently, without that worry about how we look, that we are only worth what we look at, what we make as far as money, the kind of jobs we have, you know, people don't learn to really appreciate who they are inside, not how much money you make or how you look. Looks don't last. We age. Doesn't matter how beautiful you are in your 20s. When you get to be 60 and 70, those looks are going to fade. What do you do then? How do you live with life then?
There's a trans woman that she has lived that life that, you know, every trans woman would ever dream of. Her name is Marty. She has a wonderful channel, talks about the realities of being a trans woman now in her late 50s. And she talks about the pains and the struggles and the things that she regrets and the things that she can't change and the pain that she's living with.
And the migraines.
And,
because
you know, the revisions to the breast
imbalance.
augmentation and the pain that comes from that, and the changes from you know, having had gender reassignment surgery at a young age, and what are the consequences of long-term, you know, I mean, sure, it looks beautiful on the front end of life, of course. I mean, first 5 years, you're like on cloud nine, people are, you know, they're excited, and, you know, the what is it? The sky's not even the limit for these people. But as they get older, they realize, you know.
And the health issues that come with the ramifications of what you're doing. Because there are health issues.
Our friend Marty doesn't even have many friends at all
left out
from the past.
They died.
They're not even around anymore, you know. And that's a sad reality, you know. I mean, and it goes across the board for not just transgenders, surgeries and things like that, but just, you know, someone that has gastric bypass surgery, they cut their lifespan potentially not in just half, but they might not even last another 10 years. I mean, of course there are others that do, but I mean, this is a very invasive surgery.
Well, when you mess with your digestion system, your absorption, the ability to take in minerals and vitamins, your health will decline. Majority of these people that get the gastric bypass end up gaining the weight back because they end up stretching your stomach, but now their absorption system continues to be off, and so you're going to deal with a lot of problems. I mean, people always want the quick fix, and not to say the gastric bypass, it's easy. It's not. It's hard as heck. But there are better ways of doing things. You know, you need to look at the root of the problem. The root of the problem is not your stomach. It's the inability to eat food in a healthy fashion, to have a healthy relationship with food, to not take food as a form of a crush, you know, or a what's the word I'm looking for?
Some kind of a, you know, some kind of
device of like
support system for yourself.
Hiding the pain with food, and because a lot of people eat to mask pain because they feel alone. They feel
depression is one of the greatest reasons that people eat chocolate late at night. You know, or go and raid the fridge at midnight.
It gives them that dopamine high. I mean, I think a lot of the behavior that we as humans do is to get this dopamine. You know, and that's crazy. Anyway, man opens up. This is another article that you found. Man opens up about unspoken struggles men face, and 330,000 plus people on Twitter agree.
More and more people today are speaking up about negative aspects of the stereotypical expectations of masculinity on boys and men. Twitter user Absurdist Words decided to contribute to this conversation by highlighting the importance of acknowledging that men often face the same problems as women, such as emotional trauma, depression, eating disorders, and unrealistic expectations.
However, our culture doesn't immediately acknowledge these struggles, thus preventing men from getting the help they need to recover. Absurdist Word explains in his viral thread the concept of toxic masculinity and how it affects people's lives.
Inspired by this thread, Imgur user Bjorkano decided to share his heartbreaking experience of growing up with a father who encouraged self-destructive behavior for the sake of being masculine. He says, "It wasn't until I started deconstructing my own behaviors and reactions that I started looking into the effects of striving to be hypermasculine on my own mental and emotional well-being.
I realized most of my concept of what a man was supposed to come from a very broken person," he told Bored Panda. Bjorkano says that his family was not the only place where his kind of behavior manifested. Quote, "Most often I saw examples of my father's behavior in many of the working class men of his generation. I was raised up around the labor industry like roofing, logging, lumber mills, construction, remodeling, metalwork, so on and so forth. And most of the men that I ended up associating with were the same in many aspects."
There was a nearly mandatory quote-unquote hazing period of any new employees, especially the young men, where their quote-unquote manliness was consistently called into question or tested with personal conflicts, posturing, insults, and general disrespect, he says.
I experienced that at Walmart.
He almost got in a fight with a guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's Yeah, I could totally attest to that. The man admits that his life took a better turn once he began reflecting on his childhood again and realized what impact the pressure of being hypermasculine had on him. He quotes, I realized that I exhibited many of the signs of being toxic in my level of masculinity where my ego and image took precedence over the things to do. I was so concerned with making sure I never appeared weak or unmanly that it was significant impairment to admitting that I even had a problem to begin with.
It's like admitting that I wasn't strong enough to withstand my lot in life, that I wasn't a real man. Real men didn't feel like this. I was an imposter, a fraud, and unworthy of the things I did have. This created a kind of cycle of anger and depression that fed itself, and coupled with my anxiety and CPTSD, caused a pretty uncontrolled downward spiral.
When asked what else he could say on the subject, B. O'Connell said, quote, I guess my final bid would be that just like nobody is saying that every single man is a serial rapist, and not every single man is a physically or emotionally abusive monster. Well, not every single man suffers from toxic masculinity. It takes a deep level of honest introspective, a sort of selfless look at how your actions are affecting the men, women, boys, and girls in your life.
Are you treating the women in your life as equals? Are the men in your life sources of unhealthy competition? Are you just toughening up, quote unquote, the boys in your life? And for what reason? Are you serving as an example to the girls in your life as to what to look for in a loving, supporting, emotionally available, and mentally healthy partner?
If you can honestly, truthfully say yes to these things without slanting your assessment in your favor because of ego or pride, then great. If not, well, then I think one might need to take a moment and evaluate where you can grow and improve as a person. And that's, I believe that a lot, you know, especially nowadays, you know, if a person feels that they're not man enough, what is now, especially with this trans movement, the solution? Well, I'm not man enough, so I'm as well.
It's true. And but see, as a person that experienced it personally firsthand, and how that masculinity was like taken, you know, in the sense of like, oh, you don't fit. Oh, you don't exhibit those qualities. So you feel like you are not worthy of them. And if you're not worthy of them, then what are you worthy of? And the only other thing that you could be possibly worthy of is being the other gender, because you don't fit.
Right. And you know, I wish trans community would be honest enough to like really look within. And we interview a lot of trans people back in the day, and I've been interviewing trans people since 2012. And the common theme was that they didn't feel man enough. They just didn't feel comfortable around other men. They didn't feel like they could control the situation. And they always come back to that saying, and that is why they transitioned. You know, and that's something that, in honesty, in all honesty, and not saying don't transition, don't be whatever, but that's a core, that's a major, that's like one of those root things that people need to look at. You know, am I transitioning because, you know, I don't feel that I was ever woman enough, you know, so I had to become a man because I didn't do the things that, you know, typical women do, you know.
But it's really not just, it's not just a matter of like some linear thinking that you do. It's a transformative mental exercise that actually, you know, like, you know, for lack of a better example, O.J. Simpson was convinced that he didn't kill Nicole Simpson.
Exactly.
You know, so over time, he taught himself to believe that he wasn't a killer.
Yeah.
But the evidence supports the fact that he was.
Yes.
But the reality is what is, you know. So, but that doesn't change the fact that these events and these traumas in our lives are so transformative and powerful that they actually do something in our brain.
They do. You know, and that's why there needs to be compassion and understanding. And, you know, I know that in the past we haven't had compassion and understanding, but one of the things that I strive to do is educate and get people to really understand themselves and why they do what they do. And, you know, I'm not claiming to speak for every trans person, because, you know, I only can speak for myself and seeing the examples of people that I've interviewed and come across in the world. But I think there will be less unhappiness in the trans community if they understood themselves a little better, and they understood the boundaries and their strength and their weaknesses, and how far they could actually go with this, so that they're not, you know, unhappy or continue to be suicidal. Because there's like 40% of the people that transition are more suicidal than people that do not transition. Because, I mean, once you get to that point of, okay, I've done it all, what else is there? I got nothing else. You know.
And honestly, if we look at it for you know, I mean, if we're going to be honest about everything, there are some people in life that do not need to do this, or do not fit the mold of anything and wanting to do this, because you are absolutely watched as a hawk all the time. You're seen as a pariah to society. People will make fun of you. Yeah. They'll always misgender you. I mean, it's like
your life is not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, and if you felt isolated before, you know,
isolation is going to be. It's like the video we watched, you know, and I'll put the link on the description box here so people can watch it. But, I forgot his name. Billy was his name. He detransitioned and had originally had SRS, and he had the fallow done. So, I mean, this person's been through heck and back. After 7 years of living as a woman, he got tired of the stairs. He did FFS. He did it all. And still was unhappy, because there are some people, no matter what you do, you're still going to get gawked at. You're still going to make fun at. You're still going to deal with stuff. So what are you solving? You're making your life even more miserable.
And here's the honest truth about us. If you guys want to know, if you think, oh, we think we're so beautiful that we don't have to feel that way. No, it's not that at all. It's just that we have gone through what we've gone through, the emotional, the trauma of what has happened within my family in the past, with what's happened to you physically as a person. You know, that, you know, we just want to warn people, you know, we don't feel like, oh gosh, we made it and nobody else can.
There's no one makes it. No one makes it. That's because ridiculous. In the end of the day, look, like
nobody made it.
With my work, okay, I was stealth in Walmart, and not because I was trying to be stealth. I just, you know, it's not the conversation I tend to have with people. Hey, hello, by the way, I'm transgender. I was born a girl. You know, it's like I did my job. I didn't, you know, share that with people. I didn't want to get, you know, intimate or have, you know, people in my business. But when the whole workers' comp thing took place, I got outed by the medical place that I was taken, because it was the same place where I get my hormones. Yeah. So, and they wrote it in my history. So it's like, it doesn't matter, you know, in the end you can run, but you cannot hide.
It doesn't matter how stealthy you are. It doesn't matter how passable you are.
As soon as people find out.
Oh, Kitty.
What happened?
She's fine. She wanted to get up here.
Doesn't matter, because in the long run, when people find out who you are, you know, oh, we're stuck or something happened.
Nope, you can't get up here.
No matter what, in the long run, when people find out, you know, there goes, you know, there blows your cover, and then people are going to make fun of you. People are going to look at you funny. People are always, you know, it's the bottom line is, if it solved all our problems, and I know that not everybody does it to solve all their problems and just try to want to be comfortable in their skin, but are you really comfortable in your skin? You know, it's like, you know, it's one of those things. Anyway, let's see how much more.
Well, the article, that one thing is really important.
Okay.
Boys get depressed. Boys get eating disorders. Boys commit suicide. Boys get called fat. Boys get called ugly. Boys get hit / abused by girls. Yeah. Boys get suicidal, and boys feel pain. It's not just girls that go through a hard time. It's boys too. People need to start realizing this and stop treating your boys as if they're like some impregnable rock of a fortress or something that, you know, that doesn't cry, that doesn't feel, that doesn't hurt, that doesn't, you know.
Yeah, and then they feel like, okay, well, if I'm not like the rest of the boys, then
I can't have you up here.
Get down, baby.
Can't have you up here. Sorry.
And she goes, yeah. Every time she disapproves of something.
She doesn't meow very much. Her brother does that.
Brother has a conversation.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
she just does.
Yeah.
So this message is important that toxicity masculinity has feminized these issues means that boys continue to be told to pretend they don't suffer and to stay emotionally illiterate, and we refuse to support them, you know, and they become men without emotional tools.
And here we go. We want to blame other people, and you know, I look to the mothers of these young boys and how they are expected to perform this role in society. No, sweetie. Sorry. No. Go. They're expected to perform these roles in society, and basically, you know, they are not, you know, being equipped by their mother.
No, they're not.
You know, it's like our cat. Our cat needed to be weaned. Our little Pokey, the little male cat of our two, needed to be weaned by his mama. And now he's a little bit, you know, like not normal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like he's slobbering. He comes to me and loves slobbering.
The other one, she's like all loving and she kisses and licks and, you know, she's
knows how to integrate,
interact with us and stuff. But
whenever he comes to us, all he wants to do is suckle. Have his needs met, because his needs were not met as a little kitty from his mother.
Yeah.
You know, and is that all you want to read?
But moms need to do a better job of like, you know, letting their little boys understand that, yeah, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel hurt. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to, you know, I mean, to display weakness.
Yeah. And then fathers need to also, you know, not try to make their boys such hard asses.
Yeah.
You know, and let their boys cry. They need to cry, and let their boys, you know, act feminine if that's their personality, you know, not make fun of them and mistreat them. And, you know, because it's just all, it all boils down to the first 10 years of our lives when we're being raised.
It is. And the things that we get scarred with at the beginning of life are the things that as adults we have to deal with for the rest of our lives.
Exactly.
You know?
Is that all we're going to read here?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's sad. It's sad, you know, and the same thing with little girls. I mean, it's just like, okay, little girls are supposed to act a certain way. You can't be all masculine. You have to be all feminine and whatever, and wear the dresses. And I like to wear dresses.
Mommies want to play like Barbies with their little daughters, and some of the little daughters, yeah, sure, but you don't know which daughter is the one that doesn't like that.
Wants to play with trucks, you know, and buff around and walk like a truck driver.
Like bows in her hair, and she doesn't like dresses. I mean,
and that's why
moms, it's like they want to live through their children, live vicariously through their children.
And that is where, that's what causes the confusion and all the battles with gender, and because it's gender roles, you know, it's the whole concept of like, you're a little boy, you want to play with dolls, and you're like, if I can't play with dolls because I'm a boy, then I want to be a girl, or vice versa.
It's not about wanna. It's like, if I don't fit here, then I must be this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because I mean, children are funnels, and they suck information in. You know, I mean, at the age of 5, they've been, you know, just drinking it in and stuff. And if they're sent those messages all screwed up and stuff, they're gonna be like, I'm confused here.
Yeah, and then when I hear, you know, I've got a girl brain in a boy's body, you know, a little thing like that. It's like, what does a girl's brain look like? You know, I mean, as far as I know, there's no, like, you take, oh, there's a little bow in that brain, pink, beautiful. You know, it doesn't work that way.
It's just a human brain.
Your human brain, it has different likes and dislikes and different personalities. But we have been conditioned in society. There's black and there's white. There's no shades of gray. You're either a boy or a girl. So then we're like, okay, pick a box. Okay, well, I must be this because I don't fit in this other box. So let's go this way. And I think if we stop doing that to our kids, if we stop doing that as society, if we accept people for who they are, love them unconditionally, then they can navigate and integrate into society as normal, healthy human beings. You know, it's not that difficult, really. Anyway, here's another article. Why can't I find it? Okay. Church offers free mom hugs to people shunned by their families for being gay, and their reactions are heartbreaking.
Rainbow flags, costumes, and parade floats are all the things you would expect to see at any LGBTQ Pride Week. But what about a church pastor giving out hugs? We know the slogan of Austin, Texas is "Keep Austin Weird," but people were probably caught off guard when they saw best-selling Christian author Jen Hatmaker, along with the Austin New Church congregation, offering free mom hugs to Austin Pride Week attendees.
The idea behind mom hugs originally came from Oklahoma author Sarah Cunningham, a religious woman living in a conservative town. She struggled to deal with her son's sexuality and told CBS she felt, "I had to choose between my child and faith." Her perspective changed after a conversation with her son where he told her, "Mom, I met someone and I need you to be okay with it."
It took time, education, and Facebook groups, but Cunningham and her husband came around and began attending Pride events. Through her own transformation, she noticed how many kids were still suffering from family rejection. So in 2015, she made a Facebook post volunteering her services as a stand-in mom for LGBT individuals who had been shunned by their parents for being gay.
Cunningham's post went viral and in turn spawned the officially organization Free Mom Hugs. According to the site, they attend various events, offering hugs, support, and resources to the LGBTQ community. Free Mom Hugs also offers speakers for various functions and events. The group has gone on to inspire others like Hatmakers and her pastor husband, Brandon, to literally open up their arms to their local LGBTQ community.
In her Instagram page, Hatmaker posted touching photos from Austin Pride Week with the caption, "My beloved little church went downtown to the Austin Pride Parade and gave out free mom hugs, free dad hugs, free grandma hugs, and free pastor hugs like it was our paying jobs." And when I say hugs, I mean the kind a mama gives her beloved kid.
Adding the emotional responses they receive from attendees such as, "I miss this," "My mom doesn't love me anymore," "My dad hasn't spoken to me in 3 years," "Please, just one more hug." This is not the first time Hatmakers and her husbands have shown their support of the LGBT community. In 2016, she received backlash from the interview with the religious news service where she said she believed LGBTQ marriages could be holy and criticized President Donald Trump for being a racist.
Well, Hatmaker has continued to show her critics she doesn't care and use the parade to spread love. We told them over and over that they were impossibly loved and needed and precious. This is what we are doing here. This is what we are here for. You know, I mean, it's like, I was at Minnesota Twin Cities Pride, you know, when we were broken up and stuff. And I remember specifically, just before I was about to leave, there were these Christian groups that were picketing, you know, initially when I first got there the day before. I went 2 days in a row. They were picketing out right by the signs and stuff, by the booths and stuff. And then they ended up kicking them out, and then they were picketing across the street. And there was this one guy who was like a robot, and he was just like, "And thus saith the Lord God of Adam." I was like, oh my God, really? You know, "Thou shalt not." And then this woman looked at me, and she's just a straight woman, regular, you know, mom or something, right? She looks at me and she goes, "I don't understand why we do these things. you want to go up there and then we can hug right in front of them. And then, so we went up to them and we hugged in front of them, and they just kept on doing their thing and stuff. And it's like, when is the church going to understand? And this is coming from a person who grew up in the church, grew up as a Pentecostal kid. And, understand that love is never to be denied people.
No.
You're never supposed to judge people for their choices. When you most likely have issues yourself that you do not want to face and you do not want to reveal, but you're so quick to judge, and I've been a personal product of that type of resentment and rejection and it's like, I'm glad for people like Jen Hatmaker and Sarah Cunningham who get it, people that understand that it's more important to love people.
Jesus hung around everyone and loved everyone. I mean, it's part of the propaganda. It's like one of those things that the church has to use to gather votes when it comes to the political arena so that they could lobby hateful people, and people are going to go vote for this particular president because they're anti-gay or anti-trans or anti-whatever. I mean, people just need to number one, learn to love themselves. When you love yourself, you don't want to hurt yourself
or others.
And others. But if you don't love yourself, you can't love others. See, that's like the number one formula. If you're not capable of loving yourself, then you're not capable of loving anybody else.
No, it's true.
It's like the number one thing. So it's important to heal. It's important to understand self. It's important to realize that you are perfect the way you are.
We had a very encouraging phone call from an old friend of yours that knew you before you even transitioned, and person that you respected, for years, right?
Oh, she respected.
That that was a credible person in your life. And she just encouraged us with all that we've been through, this story that we have, the messages that we have learned about life, and the experience that we've had together as a couple, to not let anyone sway us from our mission of being able to be who we are. And that's not about our gender. It's not about anything related to the trans thing or anything. It's just being who we are. We are Mark and Lena Cummings, right? And we have a trans history, and we have a past. And we have lives that we led in the past that were very different from the lives we have now. But it's all part of this great patchwork quilt, beautiful reality of our unique person and who we are. And we're proud of it. We're proud of being who we are, who we were, who we are now. And, I wouldn't be me if I wasn't that other person back then. You wouldn't be you if you weren't that person back then.
And it's like a canvas, and we created this for whatever reason, for whatever coping skills that we needed to mask the pain, to deal with the situation, but it's done, and it's something that cannot be reversed. I cannot reverse what I've done. I could only try to live the rest of my life as healthy as I possibly can and as happy as I possibly can. And I think that we have a valuable story. We have a valuable message. I always tell people, buyer beware. This is not all it's cut out to be. It is not. And some people may be happy. I'm not saying that everyone that transition is miserable. I'm sure there are people out there that are totally happy. I have yet to find one. But maybe the ones that aren't out there in social media. There's people that appear happy and appear all together, but there is always something still going on, and still something missing. So by all means, do it. Do it if that's what your heart desires, but realize that it comes with a price. Realize that you may lose everything you've ever loved and owned. Realize that your life will never be the same. Your health will never be the same. And you have a hard road to travel. If you're willing to deal with all that, and that's so important to you, that you are that gender is the main important thing in your life. And mark my words, as you get older, you will realize that gender is not the most important thing in your life. That your bigger aspect of life is not just gender. So, you know, it's, I mean.
And I just wanted to encourage those that want to like maybe change their perceptions about the trans and the LGBT community as a whole to really consider being compassionate and being loving. And although you don't understand everything about the whole alternative lifestyles that people live and who they choose to love, and you know, that you would just love these people, you know, offer the hugs. You know, I can imagine what it would be like to be 17, like Marty.
Yeah.
And to be kicked out of your house and to be walking the streets in Canada,
selling her body,
selling yourself, and not thinking that you're worth anything, feeling like you don't have anything, and just abandoned and alone. How about if someone were to have come up to Marty and would have just given her a hug
and told her that
she was beautiful the way she was?
Instead, searching for that perfection, thinking if I'm beautiful, then I'll be loved and accepted, because people think, you know, that goes hand in hand, and there's so much more.
You know, that beautiful woman in that video that we just watched on Instagram, you know, on Facebook, she had it all, had a perfect 10 body, had
beautiful hair
and face, and she was the life of the party. I mean, but she was dying inside. And it doesn't matter how beautiful you are. So many of you, you know, trans women look at like Gigi Gorgeous or somebody, you know, other beautiful trans people, and you go, wow, if I could only be like that.
Yeah, thinking that all your problems are going to get
solved. But you don't
solved.
understand that Gigi Gorgeous is probably dealing with a whole list of things that they don't even want to share with you.
Because that's what it is, in front of the camera.
After the camera's taking that beautiful selfie that they did on Instagram, they're like, you know, they don't like themselves a lot of times.
That's why they do the excessive, the Botox and the excessive amount of makeup.
Gotta be like super girly,
because
not
they
just
don't like
a girl. You have to be super, like, you have to become a Mattel Barbie doll.
Yeah, in order to find that. That sense of femininity. Yeah, and you think that by being feminine, that's going to bring you happiness, because that's the most important thing. I got news for you. There's a lot of great women out there that are not feminine. They don't have an ounce of femininity to them. They're the most amazing, wonderful women out there. So, you know, you got to take away or get rid of that thought process that women are only these little cute, funny-looking, feminine things, because that's not what being a woman is about. There's so much more to being a woman, you know, so much more. It's the same thing. There's so much more to being a man. So just, you know, if you're a trans guy, you think I'm bulk up, get big and muscular and be all whatever. And it's just the dynamic of each and every person is so different. And we cannot base our life on these cookie cutter programming and looks and things that just, you know.
I mean, that's all great. You want to get all big and buff and everything, but you know what? Just like it does for a regular biological dude, it comes with a cost. And there are many bodybuilders out there that have cut their lives short. I mean, we're talking like 20-year-olds. That, you know, one guy named Dallas, who was like a beast. You know, there's this other guy that was like a 40-something guy, you know, like my age or something. And his name was Rich Prana, and he did everything. He like was like the perfect specimen of maleness. Dead.
At 44.
Dead. So, you know, it's great, but what
it comes with a price. All those Botox injection, all that silicone butt injection, all those breast implants, all those surgeries that we do, all come with a price.
There's this one trans woman I know. Back in Minnesota, I got to meet her, and she had just had breast augmentation surgery and was in pain, you know, was selling her body, you know, giving BJs to people, you know, whoever would call and stuff. And I mean, it's like, is that the kind of life? I mean, your friend Diana, she died.
She committed suicide.
She started selling her body at the age of like 45 or something.
Committed suicide.
Committed suicide. You know, I mean, it's like this trans woman reached out to me and she said, I hate being trans, you know. And now she's lining up to get her surgery done, her bottom surgery. And it's like
the beginning of the end.
I'm like warning her, I'm like telling her, please, if you want to do anything, please save your body, because, you know, I don't believe that GRS is good for anybody. I mean, it's not good for Jazz Jennings, which we've heard nothing about lately after she went through her surgery. But it's not good for anybody. It's gonna impair your life for your lifetime, you know. And that's the thing. I mean, people just always look on the rosy side, you know, they're going to finally have the anatomy that they wanted, you know, and it's like, but at what cost?
The depression is going to continue. Now you're going to have medical issues, because you will have medical issues. There's not one single person out there that have had the surgery that doesn't have to have a revision, have had complication, hemorrhaging, stitches broke, infections, you name it. You're going to have it. You're going to spend the rest of your life in doctors' offices. Is that the kind of life you want?
And you're going to be neutered, basically. I mean, you're going to be like incapable of experiencing one of the most beautiful gifts that we have as human beings, and that is the joy of sex. You know, you cut yourself off from being able to have that enjoyment, and what kind of a person does that make you? You know, like you're longing for something that you can't have anymore, because now it's not even physically attainable.
And although a lot of people say that they do achieve orgasm after, it's just not physically attainable. It's really not, you know. But, you know, to each their own. And I just like to say, buyers beware. You know, I wouldn't be true to my heart if I didn't put out a message of, please think it through. It's not going to solve everything. You want to express the way you want to express, go for it. You want to go on hormones? Go on hormones. Realize, though, that this is something you can't do for the rest of your life, because it will harm you if you do it long term. And I mean, I've always believed in cycling off, coming off for a while, letting my receptors clean themselves out, you know, things of that nature. Because, you know, cancer, 1 out of 3 people gets cancer nowadays. Heart attack and strokes, more and more people are getting that. So you're adding stuff to your body that's going to break you down eventually. Maybe not the first 5, 10, 15 years, but you are planning to get old. I mean, be able to get old. Well, in old age, things change. Chemistry of your body changes. We have our final article here.
After working every single day for 30 years, this couple gets screwed by American healthcare system at the end.
You know, people think, I get a good job, you know, go and work really hard, it's all going to pay off in the end. Well, healthcare in the U.S. seems to be one of those topics that can divide up a room quickly. But is the best system? What's wrong with the current system? Who can implement the best ideas? Well, according to the Pew Research Center, regardless of income, 83% of Americans say that the high cost of medical treatment is what makes quality care unaffordable to the public.
You know, there's a lot of people that were against what Obama did in structuring our whole healthcare system in America. And there's some people that were all applauding it and stuff. But what we have now is a system that is unattainably expensive for everybody, except for the very, very, very poor, you know. And it's a system that is designed to fail you as a consumer, as a person. And, you know, if you've never been forced to take a hard look at the medical system in action, it may be difficult to understand exactly how much these treatments can be. So someone on Reddit reshared the story of a 71-year-old man who lost his wife to cancer and the toll the expensive medical care took on their lives.
Okay, my wife and I did everything right and worked every single day of our 30-year marriage. Saved, bought a home, put our son through college. Then my wife got cancer. She had A1 insurance through her work, of course, until you take into account our income was cut in half the day she got sick. Once her FMLA ran out, it's the time they get
Family Medical Leave Act.
She got fired while she was going through chemo and radiation.
Number 3 was her insurance through Cobra went up to $1,264 a month.
Who could afford that? That's the paycheck right there.
We maxed out our credit cards. Number 4, cashed in our IRAs and went through our savings.
Number 5, she died 10 months later. Now I'm 71, unable to work, only making less than $1,900 a month, and scared to death of not being able to pay my bills. Decide between food or medicine, and just pretty much hope for my end to come soon.
So all of you critics who think you're better than the rest of us, you can lose everything in a minute, in a second.
Yep.
And if it happens when you're old, you're screwed. If we just had a single payer insurance, we would not have to give everything up to a predatory healthcare system that deliberately destroys your life.
Like, you got Canada and other countries, like when I lived in England, okay, they take out money for the national, I forgot what it's called, but you're insured, you're everything. You don't have to worry about copay, you don't have to worry about nothing. And that's how it should be. Health should be one of those things that you should not have to worry about. Mind you, I believe that people should need to learn how to take care of themselves so they don't end up in the medical system. But if you do, that shouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. And once I lose my job, I lose my insurance. Because it's like you pay into this insurance, okay? And this insurance, when you need to use it and you ever get sick, is going to be useless. Because if you don't go to work, then there goes your insurance. And all the time that you paid into it.
Waste.
So people look at it, work hard, and let me tell you, the system does not work. I tell you.
To put this in perspective, I worked at a call center that helped people apply for all different kinds of public benefits, from your SNAP and Medicaid to your obscure tax rebates.
Get down.
You have
to bring it down.
You're going to sabotage our show. To obscure tax rebates and bill assistance programs. We worked in one state only. The organization worked in several states, but each of us would only focus on one. And we specifically targeted people 65 and older. Although it wasn't required, any person of any age could call in.
We would hear these stories all day, every day. And I literally, not figuratively, mean all day, every day. Day in and day out. Constantly. Every single one of us who worked on the phones. I eventually had to quit because the stress and transference was overwhelming.
I went home depressed and angry every single day and spent mornings forcing myself to go to work. I had calls that still haunt me over a year later. I still think about some of those people and hope they were able to find help. I had people tell me if it wasn't for their grandkids or other family members, they would just give up trying to get their medicine and let themselves die.
What the heck are we even supposed to say to that? I don't even have the words to describe just how downright evil and depraved and cruel the system is. None of them feel sufficient to me anymore. And it's true. There's just, this whole system in the United States of America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, is loopy.
Yeah.
It's like, and the sad thing is, people just put up with it. No one does anything. No
it's
one
almost
cares.
like everybody's been drugged to the point of where they're like apathetic, where, they're a group of citizens that are so drugged out by materialism that they just don't realize what's going on.
This is crazy. Going through a similar situation right now. Husband laid off after 22 years in the company. 22 years. and they have cancer. Me with cancer and COBRA payments of $1,900 a month.
Cobra.
Yeah, COBRA. Who would think of a name like that? COBRA.
It sounds like a venomous snake.
Yeah,
right?
it is a venomous snake, you know?
I guess it's the snake on the medical stuff.
So, you work hard all your life. You get sick. Or you work hard all your life. You're a company man, and then all of a sudden they decide just because companies don't care about you. I learned that real quick with Walmart. You know? But hey, they're gonna, I've already started my therapy and getting myself an attorney, and I'm gonna push this to the wheel because these big corps need to be given a message of we are not going to take it anymore. Bottom line. I guess that's anything else you want to read on this?
Well, let me see.
That's so true.
Insurance companies charge you more for every year and provide you less. Insurance companies are rich and extremely powerful. They will fight tooth and nail anytime the term single payer is even mentioned in America.
They are the reason we cannot have a better system. They have lied to us all. They have politicians by the pants and won't let go.
Their very survival depends on it. Meanwhile, year after year, they report record profits. They're getting rich off of the misery and pain of Americans, and we allow it to happen.
And we shouldn't allow it to happen. Yes, the solution is very simple. Literally every country with better health outcomes than ours does is with less resources than we have. But enough people here make a fuck ton of money from not fixing it. So what can you do other than die penniless and alone? That's what happens to everybody. You work hard all your life, you end up going to a nursing home, losing your home, because the nursing home takes all your money.
Oh, yes. So sadly common. Where I work, we've got 4 people battling cancer right now. One is a man who's dying of cancer. He's had 4 surgeries and 3 rounds of chemo. He looks like walking death.
He said about a month after the first chemo, he was 6'1" and 200 pounds the day of his diagnosis and was finally back up to 140 pounds.
I doubt he weighs 120 fully dressed, including steel-toe work boots now. He still struggles to work every day because his FMLA is out, and without company insurance, he can't afford treatment.
They have him on light duty. On better days, they have him doing stuff like a drive scrubber or around the building. On bad days, he sits and runs paper through the shredder or puts together new employee handouts.
The other 3 are at some point in their first fight with surgery and chemo. One of them has already been told their particular cancer is one of the most virulent, with extremely poor outcomes. He knows something like the man I spoke about above will be like him soon, will be him soon. So he came back on light duty to sit and shred papers 2 weeks after surgery.
He has struggled to not miss any days during his chemo. When we had a team meal, they ordered a special plate for him. I noticed him trying to hide he wasn't really eating, so I asked how he was really doing later.
He said he hasn't been able to keep any food down for over a week. He says he can't quit because his family needs the money he makes, and broke down in tears. I am sure because he's terrifically worried how they'll get on once he's gone.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, this is the great America. This is the land of the free, home of the brave. If you get sick, and the possibilities that you will get sick because we live in a toxic world, what are you going to do? I mean, seriously, people don't think of these things. You have people thinking about changing their gender, getting all whatever, creating the possibility of getting ill by opening your body and putting toxic chemicals in your body. What happens? And these are people that are doing the right thing, hardworking Americans, paying their taxes and, voting and going to church and all that stuff, and screwed up, screwed over. We need to wake up here. We need to really create changes in this world that we're living in.
There are only 35 long-term rehabilitation centers in America. 1.46 million Americans that have been disabled by a spinal cord injury. We watched this movie last night or yesterday morning about a guy who was in a terrible motorcycle accident. He was racing motocross and fell off his bike in an accident. and ended up breaking his bones in his neck and messing up his spinal cord. And
God, they're just like,
get down. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know,
Maya was climbing the screen a little while ago.
Oh, was she? Oh boy. And basically, you know, I mean, that's why, you know, he got like 5 months of treatment. And then they said, that's all, bye-bye.
We can't do anything else for you.
Where people who need help can't get it. It's like, what kind of a system is this?
And here we are, people fighting for, you know, like, hey, President Trump is the greatest and this, that. Do people realize that none of these people, none of this rich bloodline they're like parasites. They're just like sucking our blood. You know, bring her down.
Can you get down?
Sucking our blood. They don't give a flying F about you. They don't care one bit about you. You guys are waving flags and defending this great, good old country. When people are just falling apart, they're getting sick, they don't have insurance once it stopped working. I mean, just, can we stop for a moment and think what's really happening in our world? Stop being so self-centered and just worry about it's like this world is falling apart and every single one of us will be affected. We have to stop the stupidity. You know? Well, anyway, it's 10 o'clock and we've been on since 8:30, and I hope you guys enjoyed the topics. Sorry for the kitty interruption, but that's our life now. So that is our new normal. And don't forget to send us your funny videos with your cat on it, or somebody's cat that you know. We would love to interview people that, you know, have an interesting story to share, you know, and, you know,
if you have a perspective that you want to bring onto the show, that'd be great. I mean, if you have a personal experience that you've been through, you know, that you'd like to share, that would be cool too. You know, we would love to have more interaction on our chat as well. You know, if you guys have any questions or, you know, any comments that you want to make during our show, you're more than welcome to. And, you know, if you like what you see and stuff and like what you're hearing and it engages you in some way, just hit the subscribe button and you know, hit the notifications, and we'll be on every
Tuesday at
8:30. You know.
Yeah. That's it? All right, guys. Well, we love you. But remember to always love yourselves too.